Today I launched a new series of deep dive articles titled Overthinking Mr. Robot, where I will be doing, as the title suggests, a lot of overthinking of the show. As part of that overthinking, I made the assertion that its external references, like Fight Club, are more than mere Easter eggs. Each one is used with purpose. This isn't a new idea, although I'm not sure we ever really grasped the full significance of these intertextual references before. That is, anyway, the premise of today's other article. It also serves as the jumping-off point from which I begin my overthinking of the entire series. Still, I didn't want to assume that everyone is already familiar with this aspect of the show or had thought about it beyond the initial recognition such references provoke. So, I've gathered several examples to demonstrate how the writers incorporate the wider world of fiction into the fictional world of Mr. Robot. Fight Club. Probably the worst-kept secret since episode 1 originally aired is that Mr. Robot is a Tyler Durden-type character. It is the one thing most everyone knows about the show, whether they've seen it or not. Of course, Sam Esmail copies much more from Fight Club than just that. Tyler and Mr. Robot share the same goal of eliminating the world's debt records. Terry Colby gives an economic justification for covering up the Washington Township leak that copies the formula the narrator in Fight Club uses in his job at an insurance company. Stage 2 involves blowing up the buildings where the records are held, and Darlene copies the pranksterism of Project Mayhem when she takes over F Society in Season 2. Clearly, Mr. Robot copies a lot from Fight Club, and we can see from this brief description how these references insinuate themselves into various aspects of the show. It impacts plot, Elliot discovering Mr. Robot isn't real. Themes, Colby reducing people to a monetary value, and character, Mr. Robot as a messianic revolutionary figure. My contention is that all the show's major references work like this. None are as influential or as pervasive as Fight Club, but even the smallest serve a useful purpose. Eyes Wide Shut. The name of the restaurant where Angela and Price meet is a blink and you'll miss it reference to Eyes Wide Shut. In the movie, Fidelio is a password that grants Bill, played by Tom Cruise, access to the secret world of the elite. In Mr. Robot, a restaurant named Fidelio's serves the same purpose for Angela. We can see that even this tiny reference operates on 3 different levels. For anyone who doesn't know the reference, the name is merely a world-building detail of no real importance. One level down, we recognize it as an Easter egg. Just a fun little inside joke for people who remember it from Eyes Wide Shut. But down another level, we find the deeper intention. Angela is being invited into Price's world, where the dark secrets of the powerful are kept. As viewers, we don't need to catch the reference to understand what is happening in the scene. But this intertextuality is itself a password that opens a secret little world all its own. For those in the know, Eyes Wide Shut contributes its rich tapestry of themes and emotions to Mr. Robot. It evokes the desirous pull of fantasy kept behind velvet ropes for which Angela makes herself desirable. It elevates the restaurant above the status of mere meeting place. As Fidelio's, it becomes a liminal space separating the world of appearances experienced by common people without an invitation and the real world as controlled by the initiated. It's a reference that solidifies the conspiratorial themes already established within the show in a way another restaurant name would not. It is a single word that carries with it an entire world of meaning. The Sopranos, I hurt Krista. I don't feel good about that. I hope you're not mad at me, but you have to admit, she's just like everyone else. Too afraid to peek over their walls, for fear of what they might see. Not me. That's what I do. I look. Elliot looks. And we know that he looks because in this scene, he tells us he does. And to drive home the point of how much he looks, we see him looking at a painting of a barn while reading himself into the picture as the person who looks. All super straightforward. Elliot hacks everyone and looks at their personal information. That's what he does. Case closed. But does Tony also look? Well, this episode of The Sopranos is titled denial, anger, and acceptance. So early indications are, no, Tony does not look. And watching the episode bears this initial impression out. We see Tony reading a metaphor into the barn painting, just like Elliot does. In Tony's case, that metaphor upsets him, but he never quite recognizes or admits to himself that it is a metaphor about his own fear of death. A good portion of the episode is about him avoiding and repressing that fact. Had we recognized the theme of repression and denial referenced by the barn, we'd understand Elliot's voiceover to be the bullshit that it is. Like Tony, Elliot is in denial about a lot of things. Neither one of them are particularly good at looking when it comes to introspection. And in this scene, he's projecting that quality onto Krista. Maybe Krista isn't particularly good at peeking over her walls because she's afraid of what she'll see, but compared to Elliot, she's an amateur at avoidance. Unlike the Fidelios example, where the reference was telling us something we already know, here we have an example of a reference providing entirely new information. We see it working to undermine the narrative our main character is spinning. If we understand the reference upon first viewing, we already understand that Elliot is not being honest with us here because he isn't honest with himself, just like Tony, the third man, and the Matrix. The Ferris wheel scene in S1E1 is a great one because it combines two different references, both of which Sam has confirmed. Mr. Robot's dialogue is a paraphrased version of the speech Morpheus gives to Thomas Anderson in The Matrix. Morpheus: "You're here because you know something. What you know you can't explain, but you feel it. You've felt it your entire life, that there's something wrong with the world. Mr. Robot: You're here because you sense something wrong with the world. Something you can't explain." And the iconic setting on the Wonder Wheel is taken from an Orson Welles film titled The Third Man. If we did the same kind of contextual analysis we performed with the previous examples, we'd find, once again, that each reference contributes something useful. Placing Mr. Robot in the scene as a stand-in for the third man's amoral Harry Lime informs us of Robot's indifference to individual human lives. This, of course, foreshadows Mr. Robot's indifference to the casualties caused by his plan to blow up Steel Mountain, and, as a possible reference to the third man syndrome, we also get an early indication that Mr. Robot is an imaginary companion that helps Elliot cope. By invoking the Matrix, we're told that our protagonist is imprisoned and controlled by a sinister virtual reality. This has multiple meanings within the context of Mr. Robot. It is an early reference to Elliot's F-World prison, but it is also in keeping with the show's cultural critique, as articulated by Mr. Robot's "Nothing is Real" speech in S1E10. We'll have a lot more to say about both of those topics in future installments of Overthinking Mr. Robot. But for now, I want to direct our analysis somewhere else, and my intention for including the Ferris wheel scene here is not to provide yet another example of how thoughtfully the show uses each reference. It is to point out how ubiquitous these references are. Here is a single scene that references at least two different movies. The scene isn't just an homage, it is a pastiche. And once we start noticing the sheer magnitude of the references Mr. Robot uses, we start to get the impression that the entire fictional universe of Mr. Robot is constructed out of other fictional universes. We get Fight Club's Tyler Durden pointing at Mr. Robot, Patrick Bateman at Tyrell, Dolores Hayes at Darlene, Travis Bickle at Elliot. Even the names Philip Price and Mr. Robot are derived from a video game with its own thematic implications. It's as if the structure of the show mirrors an individual with dissociative identity disorder. It's a single entity comprised of a multitude of independent entities, each contributing something to the whole. It is this realization that I use as the jumping-off point from which I'll start seriously overthinking the rest of the show.